Hello and good morning. It's the 17th of August 2023 and I'm going to recap my trade plan, my trade plan for today. So we've currently got the SPY on my screen. Let's flick over to MES, that's what I'm really focused on. One day. So we're looking at the daily on the MES, and we can see we've had a bit of a bounce right on that level we discussed yesterday. Well, not quite on the 4400, but very close, but within this green area demand zone. So, and obviously that is in the post market last night, that bounce, which is a shame because I was rather hoping it would have been a bit earlier yesterday, or it would have waited until today to bounce, but it is what it is. What could we look out for today on the daily? So we've got this bit of a revival. Potentially we could head back up to this level here, 4450, which is the joining of the 8 moving average coming down as well. And if it pushes through, maybe we could retest the 50 moving average, which is also this point of control where we've got this heavy area of volume, congested volume along there. So potentially 4500 would be a major area to bounce, to reject if we do get that high, but I'm really watching for 4450 area and probably in this region here, which is just below 4491. But I'm going to go over to the hourly chart now because it's a bit clearer. So on the hourly we can see we've been in this downtrend for some time, putting in some lovely eyes, and we finally broke through this trend, this channel, tested it once, tested it twice, and yesterday we rejected it. And if you followed the levels yesterday, the levels we discussed in the pre-market worked perfectly as well. So we had the retest of 44.67, 68 area, and then we had the bounce off of 44.40, if you caught that, and then we had the break and retest of 44.40 afterwards, and then this area, look at that, in the 44.16 to 44.20 was an area I was watching for a high probability bounce, and it worked perfectly. So you could have taken in a couple of starter positions, stop loss just below that green zone, and you could have just rode it back up to where we are now. So here, so currently I'm watching, so I'm just keeping an eye on the futures. I see a red bar putting in. Last time I checked was coming up to here. So 44.40 is an area I'm watching for a potential reject, but if we slowly grind up to that level, then maybe today's going to be a green day overall, and we might just look to look for a break and retest that level with potentially the top end of the bottom end of this channel as resistance, or we got this area of resistance about 44.68. So that's kind of what I'm watching for. If we come back down, maybe look for a double bottom here today as well. We've got 4400, which would be a better place to catch a bounce. So these are areas on watch. So I would probably say it's not the first time we've got. The first time I'd say it's a higher probability. The second time we may test it and break back down for a bounce. So maybe only go with this bounce on with a just wait for confirmation. Potentially look for volume and look for a bottom candle, bottom tail candle. It's a bit like this candle. This is a perfect candle. Let me zoom into that area. So I can't really see the volume very well because it's, what if I do that? Here we go. If you can see that, just try and hide the volume because then we can see what's going on. So we had ending volume in the pre-market as it increased up. We saw this bottom tail, and then this is the attention grabber, the bottom tail candle, and we had higher volume as well, and then it was in the areas we're watching, 44.16, and that would have been a great push up with the stop loss just below there, and we're still being it now. And in fact, next pivot you could have raised the stop loss, and then raise the stop loss to there as it pulled up, and we're above the moving averages now on the I'm going to get back to normal mode so I can see it better. So we're above the 20, the VWAP and the 8 moving average, so we got remember we're in an hourly micro uptrend at the moment, potentially looking for a new lower high, which will be 44.40. That's the area. I think this is an area to watch for. So it's quite close to where we are now, so it's going to be a higher or more riskier rejection, so that will be in play. Wait for confirmation. Again, looking for a volume spike and a turnaround candle which looks a bit like that. That's what we're looking for, and then confirmation will be on the break of that candle down or the pullback and retest of that area. And the same for this area up here at 44.67. We've got this area potentially, or the channel area. We've retested it a couple of times, rejected it twice, and no reason why we can't reject it a third time. So I'll just quickly sum up the higher risk and lower risk levels I'm watching for today. So a higher probability at 4400, followed by another slightly higher probability but with confirmation at 44.16 through to 44.08, this area here. So wait for confirmation, and then we're looking for a possible rejection. So these are the bounce areas. Higher risk rejection at 44.40, and bear in mind you'll probably meet up with the 50 moving average at that point as well. And then we've got this higher probability, which is an area of supply as well at 44.68, 44.67. So these are the areas I'm watching for. So if we get back up here, I'll be looking for a rejection, and I'll be layering in using this as resistance. If we do break through, then we've got the 200 moving average as well, and this other zone of supply, and the best level will probably be, yeah, well, I've marked 44.90, that area, this area here, as a rejection. And also we've got 4500, which is a psychological number, and a natural, it could be a natural area of resistance based on this point of control as well. I think that's it. Okay, so looking at SPY next. Got the hourly, this is the daily. So the daily, we haven't quite got down to this level, 438, 437.50. So potentially it's unfinished business, and we may want to come down, touch the bottom of this pivot here before we push up. We'll see how that goes. We are putting in a bit of a down candle at the moment on the 5 minute and the 15 minute. But again, like the MES and the ES, we are looking for potential rejection at this area, 444 to 445. So that's a good area to watch for, and it's quite a nice clean area as well, which is where we've got the red, the green shaded area. Looks quite clear on the daily. So on the hourly, you can see it's quite a nice level as well, exactly the same as MES. If we can come up into this area, this is a higher probability rejection. So on SPY, I'm really watching for 444.20 through to 445 for rejection. So again, if you're layering in, which is what I would do on the MES, I'd buy a start position as I touch that zone, start position at the level 444.21, and then another start position at 445 with a stop loss there. So if we push through, then only a full start position, which is a quarter of my full size, and a partial start position will stop out. So it's basically a 0.3R loss. If we don't stop out, then I would have probably another start position as we exit, or more likely exit and the retest for the push back down. That's how I normally play the higher probability plays. Again, up here we've got a potential 448.90 area, and we've got this the 200 moving average coming down as well, so potentially we could have a bit of resistance around this area here. And for bounces, we've got 438 as a bounce area. It looks quite decent. We've already bounced there, and last time we bounced it was a big bounce, and we saw this big move up. So potentially we could see another big bounce like that, and at least come back and retest this area. And then if we do break down for this area, we've got to get through this higher volume, concentrated volume as well, this red line. And we've got 435, 430, 487 to 435 area, followed by 432 area as potential bounce areas. So here and here. So, but I'll treat them exactly the same as MES. On the SPX, which I'm going to go to, I'm still watching this 4400 area for a bounce, and if the SPX gets down there, then I will probably want to take it wherever we are on the MES. So if the MES has slightly different numbers, so 4400 on the SPX is probably, it may not be far off it actually, will be around about 4401, 4402 area. So I'll be looking for, that's why I'll be looking for a bounce around that area anyway. Qs and NASDAQ next. We're coming into a retest area on the Qs, so potentially around 365 as a potential rejection, 365 through to 365.50, but that's a higher risk rejection because we're quite close to it. A better rejection area will be off of the 200, probably when we get to the 370.50 area, up in this red shaded area, this supply zone. And for bounces, different time. Bounces, I've got this major area marked here at 357.50, which is a nice area actually. So we've got this zone here we can watch for, and obviously we've got this zone as well to watch for. So these areas are 357.50 area, and then we've got 348 areas potential bounces, and they look like good bounces. And as for rejection, we'll just stick with 370.50 and 374.30 through to 375, and that's because of bottoms of candles and tops of candles here and tops of candles here and almost a top there. So that's Qs. Quick look at NASDAQ, then onto oil. NASDAQ's almost identical. So we've got this area here as a potential reject area, so 15.050, yeah, basically around that area. Area confluence as well, we've got the tops of these candles, bottoms of these candles, and bottoms of these candles as well. And I'm sure if I go back, it's probably proven to be an area. So more, yeah, if you go back further, you can see it is also, here we go, so you've got close to the bottoms of these candles here, not too far, but definitely here, tops and bottoms, tops and bottoms, bottoms, bottoms here, and yeah, so that's a good area. So if I were, I don't play Qs that often, but I do keep an eye on NASDAQ, so that's an area I would look for potential rejection, and probably using the 50, maybe that pivot there, 15.08, probably a bit too wide for a stop, probably. Yeah, above if it candle closes above the 50 moving average, so it comes up and closes up here, then potentially we're looking for an uptrend. So 50 as a stop. And then lastly, MCL. Look at that, we saw a big sell-off yesterday. It's a nice big move down. Didn't quite get to the level I was watching, which is based on that pivot there. But it did get to this like little mini head and shoulders area. So this left inverse shoulder, I wouldn't even call it a right shoulder, but you could argue and say it's a head and shoulders pattern. A very, very weak pattern, I would say, but is an area of of volume, concentrated volume a little bit. If you look on here, even though it's lower volume, it does peak around that area, and it's exactly where we were looking at the bounce area. But still, it's not a major level. That's the area to be watching. So for a reject, probably where it's already done the rejection, that's the area I would be watching based on bottom of those pivots there. If we can push through that, then I'd probably be looking yeah, 81.35, and look at that, the point of control is on that area as well. So see this concentrated volume on the left, this red bar kind of shows you where all the areas of concentrated volume are, and so that will be really a natural area of resistance. So potentially a rejection at 81.35, and if we're strong, we are. If you look at the daily, it's been in a real good really good uptrend, and we could potentially just be looking to continue the uptrend maybe. So if we break 81.35, then potentially we're just putting in a higher low, and we might be looking to retest the top again. So something to keep an eye on. I quite like looking at oil. We're still above the 200 on the daily, still above the 50 on the daily, and we're currently closed at the moment above the 20. So we'll see how the market responds. I think that's it really. So I've got some levels here. So the only level I'd be looking for a rejection would be 81.35, and possibly if we come back down and touch this level as a potential bounce. So we may just see a bit of, and then a push back up just to get back down to where we are, because we didn't quite make it yesterday. So technically the hourly still in an uptrend, and the daily still in an uptrend, and I guess we'll have to break this pivot to break the hourly uptrend, which it hasn't done yet. So more bias on a long than a short. Okay, that's it for today. Hopefully another good day trading. Was a relatively okay day yesterday. Wasn't very profitable, but it's definitely a green day. 44.40, that's my area I'm watching, and a potential bounce at 44.08. So they're the two areas I'm going to be watching for today, and I'll probably look for a little scalp maybe on the 5 or 15 minute if I can find one, if I can see anything setting up. Okay, have a good day. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and it's helping you, please hit the like button as well. Thank you.